Greetings, everybody. Drew here, aka Guy McMonstermaker, and we are going to be answering some customer questions in the first segment of McMonstermaker Answers. Okay, so first question is: with so many simultaneous projects, how do you manage your time and keep everything running smoothly? So essentially, it really just comes down to a regimen. A lot of times, the perception is that when you work for yourself, more specifically, and I've said this before, if you're working for yourself in any sort of artistic capacity, you have a little bit of leeway or whatever, and that's the furthest thing from the truth. Certainly if you have an objective that you need to achieve, or you have orders you have to fulfill, things like that, you need to have structure, you need to have a schedule, you need to stick to it, and it's really that simple. Okay, second question. You currently offer over 55 products. Are you aiming to double that number next year? And what's your target product volume overall? Well, I would love to say that we could double our inventory year after year. Unfortunately, at the moment, because of space constraints, that's really not going to be an option. So, ideally, I would like to be able to produce at minimum 25 to 40 new products every year. So far, we're doing pretty good. We have, as this person pointed out, over 55, probably have closer to 60 by January of 2026. The strategy moving forward is to produce enough that we can retire some of our more legacy products, for release in the future, kind of like how Disney vaults things and then releases them later. Same strategy. It accomplishes a couple of things. One, it allows us to not have to discontinue products that have done well in the past, but give them a rest. And in their stead, we still have inventory and new products that we can roll out to supplement the void that is left by those products that we've temporarily retired. That said, I'm thinking in 2026 there will be a few less cuties, but that's only because we're really focusing on getting our larger form factor artistic pieces going. Our collection classique, Frankenstein, Dracula, some characters from my book series, along with various other monsters and permutations of mythical creatures and what have you that we have rolling out. So yeah, we definitely at this moment we have no intention of doubling our capacity, but definitely something that we're looking into in the coming years for sure. Question 3. As your product size increase, what's your projected timeline for moving into a larger facility? Well, that basically piggybacks off the last question. At this moment, I don't have a definitive answer for that, but what I can say is that is the trajectory and the direction that we're headed. Eventually, we're going to have to come to a head, and we will end up needing a factory of some sort. Or maybe not necessarily a factory, I'm sorry, I misspoke, but a warehouse. So I'm thinking probably at the latest 2027, but certainly if we can get that going in 2026, maybe towards the end of 2026, we will definitely be doing that. It really it depends on a lot of factors. I don't drive, so we need to find a place where I can work and scale effectively while still being able to, live. It's a bit of a feat, but we're definitely going to get it done because we have no choice. Question 4. Your Savini and Gillis licenses highlight your love of practical effects. What other effects legends would you like to add to your roster? Oh boy, like all of them, if I could. Currently, we are reaching out to Rick Baker and Tom Woodruff Jr. I would love to be able to get, certainly the rights to do Stan Winston, Steve Wang, Jordan Ushell. There's a million. Even Matt Winston. There are no shortage of people that I would love to be able to represent in that space. Michael Lantieri, Crash McCreary, Shane Mahan. I mean, the list goes on. It's an extensive one, and some of these names may not even seem, particularly recognizable, and that's kind of the point. That's a shame, in my opinion. Question 5. You've made a mark in horror, but you've also teased non-horror lines like Shmishi's. What other collector demographics are you looking to expand into, and is anything off limits? So, nothing is really off limits, in my opinion. I mean, I guess there are a few things, like for instance, McFarlane Toys and a couple others have done series on actual living monsters, Elizabeth Bathory and Jack the Ripper and things like that. Well, I feel like they are far enough removed from, certainly anyone living. I would say for myself, I would draw the line at, producing anything that represented like actual contemporary, monsters. Anybody who did atrocious things that might actually emotionally impact somebody living today. That's pretty much it. That's the only thing that I would consider off limits, personally. As far as things that we would like to expand into, we're definitely looking to expand into products that are tailored to the anime crowd. We have some weapons that we're developing, display weapons that are based off of my book series, which is sci-fi. And, of course, the Shmishis, those have been teased for a while, and they are definitely coming. The issue with them is we have to develop a whole other technique in order to produce them because they are furry. And, it's a bit of a process. And they would have already been released. However, my wife, she really, really believed that they needed to be furry, tangible, furry, fluffy. So, were it not for her passion, they would have had sculpted fur on them. So, yes, but they are coming, and they'll be nice and colorful and cute. And they're meant to tailor to the people who don't necessarily like creepy with their cute. And since they are technically creatures, they fit perfectly fine under our Creatureporium umbrella. So, yeah, but they're coming. And we want to basically just be able to cater to and service multiple different types of consumer demographics without pandering. That's incredibly important, so everything that we produce is, if it doesn't pass my personal, test of, is this something that I would want in my house, we're not going to release it. So, yeah, hopefully that answers that. Question number 6. With the economy straining, major collectible companies, Funko alone, losing over $200 million this year, do you feel that doing everything in-house and in the U.S. has contributed to your positive trajectory? Is the industry slump more about overhead or creative complacency? So, that's going to be a long answer. That was thunder. How ominous is that? So, our positive trajectory simply stems from the fact that we have very few moving parts and we do not have as much overhead as the legacy collectible companies. And that is a good thing. Every day we're always trying to figure out how we can better serve our customers while preserving the bottom line and staying economically healthy. And when times get tough, it is a strain on us, just like it is every other industry. But fortunately, we can weather the storm because of the way that we have developed our workflows. Now, I would say Funko, certainly the strain that they're feeling has everything to do with oversaturation of a very specific aesthetic, in my opinion. They're flooded everywhere, and they don't really have a whole lot of variation in terms of their presentation. It's a Funko if it's got a square head and beady eyes and no mouth. And, well, there are definitely some unique products that they have rolled out over the years. There are also many that I do feel come from a place of artistic complacency, and that will definitely kill a collectibles company, absolutely. On top of being out of touch with the current economic situation and the people that you're servicing. So here we focus just as much on our high-end, more expensive pieces as we do on a more consumer-friendly, cuties, gnomes, things of that nature. And it's very important that you not only focus on being able to produce something that is lower cost, but also just as quality as those more expensive pieces. At least certainly in an artisanal, artistic standpoint, and since everything is done by hand here, it definitely does put a strain time-wise, and that does affect how much we're able to roll out at any given time, which definitely plays a factor in, financial projections and whatnot. But at the end of the day, we make it work by really paying attention to our customers, but also trying to do our best to make sure that we are producing things that are worthy of their attention. And, as a perfect example, it's sort of anomalous that we have any sales that are generated from social media, say, right? And that, that is, there's a whole industry that is designed to tailor to online marketing for people who are incapable of doing it themselves. And I feel like that practice is somewhat exploitative, but also it really just depends on the business, how dedicated you are to getting the word out about your product. And, Funko, Sideshow, NECA, all these giant companies, they only really tend to be interactive with customers in a physical sense at, like Comic-Con, New York Comic-Con, San Diego Comic-Con, LA Comic-Con, etc. I feel like, even if we are fortunate enough to survive and weather any future economic storms that will allow us to get to that scale, which is the objective, even in that scenario, you will always see us at the more grounded, smaller shows. In my opinion, I feel like that is crucial to building a grassroots support of your brand. And that is something I feel like the larger companies have definitely lost touch with. There's a lot of cynicism, there's a lot of greed that goes into that, and I make no mistake in saying eventually we're going to have to get factories and we're going to have to outsource and do all that stuff, but that is something that is an inevitability that comes with needing to scale in order to cater to so many people moving forward in the future. It's something that's going to have to happen, and when that day comes, we'll deal with it. But in the meantime, definitely, our longevity has definitely been possible by keeping everything in-house, keeping the moving parts to a minimum, and not having to rely on external third-party services to make our products stand out or even be attainable. So, that was a very long question, and hopefully that answers that question. Yeah. All right, question number 7. You're known to have poor vision. Has that helped or hindered your career, and in what ways? So I would say that my vision has definitely contributed to the success of the company, in that I refuse to see my poor vision as anything other than like a slight obstacle to be overcome. It does, it hurts. Sometimes I get migraines, I get headaches, I get, like dizzy spells and all sorts of unfortunate, unpleasant things on a daily basis, but it doesn't really matter, because what matters is getting the job done, getting the product out, and growing the business. Because of my vision, I easily could have just left this to be a dream, to be a pipe dream. And I refuse to do that. I refuse to let the fact that I can't even see my products sitting here across the table stand in the way of being able to make a highly detailed product. And the way you do that is you just make your environment work for you. Some people don't understand that. Certainly, if they don't know what you're going through physiologically, most people wouldn't even know that I have vision issues unless they see me like crossing a street or stepping off a curb or needing to read something really. So I also think that is a strength, being able to walk through life with adversity that is so insignificant to how you live life that it ceases to become adversity at all. You know, it's only a disability if you let it be, right? And the last question. Number 8. You can't choose your next product or your last one, but what is your favorite product line you've created and why? Okay, so that is a very hard question to answer, really. I would say my favorite my favorite product or products would be any of the milestones, like the first of anything. So as an example, let's see here, I have a couple examples here. So Dracula is my favorite cutie because this was the very first one that we ever launched. That was our official copyrighted product. Okay, Tom Savini is my favorite because he was the very first licensed figure that we ever acquired. And, you know, in this line of work, a license does mean something. And then lastly, certainly not least, this guy right here. He's not done, but the first of the collection classique busts, my Revenant of Ingolstadt, aka Frankenstein's monster. I'm that's one of my favorites. So, again, it's not like it's one thing that I can pick. It's impossible. It's like asking what your favorite child is. But, yeah. And so there we have it. That is all the questions that we have for today. Stay tuned. We will do another one of these questionnaires relatively soon. And I hope that, you found this entertaining and insightful. And, yeah, stay tuned for more. Hope you guys are all having a fantastic day. And, yeah, got to get back to making monsters. So, I will see you. Bye-bye.